What is up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we're going to be taking a good look at CLYDE EDWARDS-HELAIRE, talking redraft now. Obviously, I've done a lot on Dynasty, looking at this guy for rookie drafts, but now we're talking what is he going to do in 2020. Before we get started, ask you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all the other videos that we're doing across the NFL like this, giving you guys in-depth analysis over all of the fantasy relevant players for all 32 NFL teams. And also check out our website, fantasyaddictionnetwork.com, for a full list of rankings to see where we have all these guys projected to finish at the end of the year. But without further ado, let's take a look at CLYDE EDWARDS-HELAIRE. So obviously we don't have any NFL stats from 2019, but we can look at what he did in that record-breaking LSU offense. Finishes the year with 215 carries, 14 rushing yards, and the big number here, 55 freaking receptions. Absolutely insane for a running back to attain over 50 receptions in college. Now, he did play a couple extra games going to the national championship, so that padded these stats a little bit, but still very impressed to see a 55 reception season from a running back. Finishes the season with 17 total touchdowns and 453 receiving yards. Really, really good production. And if it wasn't for this season, it may have been an entirely different story for CLYDE EDWARDS-HELAIRE. Didn't do anything in his freshman season, and his sophomore season was a bit underwhelming, but jumps up in his yards per carry in 2019, jumps up in his target share. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with the offense, but still, Joe Burrow spoke very highly of CLYDE EDWARDS-HELAIRE, said that he was clearly the best player that he's ever played with. When they asked Patrick Mahomes prior to the NFL draft, hey, who do you want us to draft? He told them, hey, let's draft CLYDE EDWARDS-HELAIRE. Andy Reid agreed, and you're not going to get much argument from me in terms of an Andy Reid running back. This could be a very, very productive running back for years to come. But the real question is, okay, Damian Williams is there. So what does that mean for 2020? Is this going to be a split workload? Is this going to be a situation where you're not really happy owning either guy unless one of them goes down to injury? Or is this, is Damian Williams dust and Clyde Edwards is just going to immediately take the job? I try to always look through the lens of rational coaching when I believe in the coach, and I look in the lens of irrational coaching when I don't. And definitely Andy Reid falls into the realm of a rational coach. So you have to honestly answer the question as to why would a Super Bowl team take a running back in the first round in a Super Bowl window, knowing they're about to have to pay Patrick Mahomes gobs and gobs of money, which is going to severely hurt their ability to pay other skill position players on both offense and defense. It's going to severely impact their ability to be as versatile and have as great depth as they did this last year. This could arguably be their best chance to go back-to-back this season. So why would you draft a running back, the position that is most notable for having immediate upside and not having much longevity? So a guy that's only going to have a couple years of relevance, most likely. Sometimes running backs can extend beyond their first 4 or 5 seasons, but ask Le'Veon Bell and Melvin Gordon how things are turning out for them on their second contracts. And I guess Melvin Gordon is to be seen, but to be fair. But overall, running backs see the vast majority of their production in the first couple years of their career, and then it begins to taper off pretty drastically. So back to the original question. You draft a running back in the first round. A first-round running back gives you, obviously, the ability to sign him to a 5th-year option. But you're in a Super Bowl window now. Why on earth would you spend a first-round pick when you need guys on offensive line? You could have arguably gone for a linebacker or a cornerback on defense. Why would you spend that pick on a running back and not use him in the first year? If you can answer that question without saying that someone's stupid, then let me know. But I don't see it happening. It's not like I expect Damian Williams to go away, but you just don't do that. You don't spend a first-round pick on a guy if you're not planning on using him pretty heavily in the first year in your Super Bowl window. So with everything that's happening with the pandemic, it's possible that it takes a few weeks for him to become fully integrated into this offense, but we know that Clyde has already been working hard to make sure that he can succeed this year, and I think he's going to do it. I think there's a very strong chance that he finished the year as the most productive rookie back, and we have him projected to do so. So let's go over a few more stats here. Last year, college target share 10.2%, 76th percentile. His college yards per carry, nothing crazy, 52nd percentile, 5.5. The Chiefs don't have a ton of vacated targets. They only have 58 vacated targets from last year, and 120 of our vacated carries is pretty decent. But again, we're expecting this shift in volume to come mostly at the expense of Damian Williams, who missed a good portion of the season last year due to injury and really hasn't ever finished a season playing a full 16-game schedule as the lead back anyway. So it's probably going to be in Damian Williams' benefit to not have to carry and shoulder as much of the load. So last year, Damian Williams had some really interesting marks that if we apply it to CLYDE, Edwards-HELAIRE can also show you his upside. Damian Williams on average faced 6 defenders in the box, which was 66th. Now, that is a good thing to be a lower number, and that is going to be really insane. And it makes sense because defenders aren't going to ever be able to focus fully on stopping the run, telling out the run against Patrick Mahomes. Good luck. Damian Williams was pretty evasive last year. A decent juke rate of 24.8% put him at number 22 in the NFL. Damian Williams' breakaway run rate, though, with the exception of the 2 runs that he was able to completely explode from, and we saw Tyreek Hill be able to run behind him and pat him on the back. We'll show you that in the Tyreek Hill video. Wasn't really breaking too many runs deep down the field other than those. His true yards per carry finished the season at 3.8, which is 41st best at the position, and he faced one of the best overall game scripts, 3rd best in total game script among running backs. So if our hypothesis is correct and Andy Reid goes and gives a significant target share to CLYDE Edwards-HELAIRE in the first season, this could be an incredible amount of upside for a guy that right now is going about the back of the second, early third. Not really sure where he's going to end up finishing. Definitely could be a ADP jump as we get closer to the start of the year. We've talked about this in some of our other videos. When ADPs are set in the summer, you can kind of start to tell a story of how some guys are going to jump up once more and more people start getting involved. Because right now what you're seeing is high stakes guys, dynasty guys, people that are really heavily invested in the game of fantasy football. That's what's crafting all the ADP right now. And then the vast majority of players begin to start paying attention around July, August, and that's when you start seeing ADP take a pretty big shift on some of these names. And I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to pay more attention to the Chiefs running back that was drafted in the first round as we get closer, especially if you start hearing more holdouts. We've already heard Dalvin Cook say he's going to hold out. The same thing could happen to Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara. There's question marks about whether or not Miles Sanders is going to have any competition around him, and we don't really know what's going to happen with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and Kenyon Drake is looking primed to have a really good season, but he's never done it before. So you can already start to tell the story that people are going to start telling themselves, and before long, I have a feeling that CLYDE Edwards-HELAIRE is going to jump up to the first round, and that's probably when I'm going to be a bit more hesitant. But it's not impossible for them to return value. I'll show you the same chart that I showed in the video that I looked at when we broke down why CLYDE Edwards-HELAIRE is the #1 overall pick for dynasty drafts. So this is a list of Andy Reid's running back finishes over time. So the blue running back, or the blue dots, are the running back ones in that offense, and the red dots are the RB2s. So for the most part, we know that Andy Reid deploys a single running back for the most part. He does, it's never like 100% split, but very rarely does he actually have like a heavy running back by committee. So some of the outliers here: in 2000, Deuce Staley only played 5 games. So obviously not finishing pretty strongly there. In 2002, this is something that we can potentially look at. Deuce Staley was still getting the majority of the carries. Brian Westbrook came on, didn't really do too much in that first year. And then in 2003, we see Westbrook take over, but he and Deuce Staley were splitting a lot of carries. So this was one of the years that you could actually use as kind of like an outlier and saying, well, okay, well, here's the last time that he had a really good running back that they drafted early jump on and still had another good running back on their team, and they split a lot of carries. But this is obviously going all the way back to 2003. So keep that in mind. Then this begins the era of Brian Westbrook dominance, has 5 straight seasons finishing as a top 10 running back, including one number 1 overall running back finish. Absolutely insane. And then we get to 2009, in which Brian Westbrook kind of goes off a cliff, and this is the year that LaShawn McCoy comes on as a rookie. So again, I can tell why there's going to be some warrant to the skepticism. We got 2 situations here where the rookie came on and there was still a really good running back on the team, and they ended up splitting a lot of carries and not being very fantasy relevant. And then immediately after that, we see LaShawn McCoy have 2 number 2 running back seasons, and then a drop down to number 17. This is the year that Andy Reid takes over for the Chiefs. We have the number 1 overall running back finish, and then 7th for Jamal Charles. And then 2015 is the year that Jamal Charles misses 11 games. Year 16 was kind of a gross year for running back, in which Spencer Ware still finishes the running back 17, but Spencer Ware, nowhere near the caliber of guy like a Deuce Staley or a Brian Westbrook. So the interesting phenomenon here then is when we get to the next year when Kareem Hunt comes on as a rookie. Well, there was a lot of talk of, well, Spencer Ware will share carries with Kareem Hunt. We didn't really get a chance to experience that, though, because Spencer Ware got hurt before the season started, and then Kareem Hunt ended up being the number 4 running back overall. So I think that's probably the most relevant one. And unfortunately, we don't have any data for it because of the fact that Spencer Ware got hurt. So I think it would also be foolish to say that there isn't going to be some type of a split. So I'm not expecting Clyde Edwards to see the type of workload that we can expect in 2021. But again, this is the first time that Andy Reid has taken a running back in the first round. They're in a Super Bowl window. It doesn't make sense for them to not use him at all. Where we have him projected right now would put him in the realm of the running backs that you can draft in the second round. We have him getting 840 rushing yards and 55 receptions for 454 yards and 10 total touchdowns. That would put him at 243.4 fantasy points. If Damian Williams gets hurt or Clyde Edwards just demands more touches, then obviously this could balloon into Clyde being a top 5 running back pretty easily on this offense. Are we projecting it? No. I think that's in the range of outcomes, though. So bear that in mind. And if you're drafting in any leagues now, buy the dip as long as you can. Continue buying Clyde as a late or early third, a late second, I think is incredible value right now. Once he jumps up to the first round is where it's going to get a little pricey for me. But really like the potential for Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE in 2020. What say you guys? Hit me up in the comment section below. And as we said, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does us a good favor. And you also be subscribed for all the other videos that we're doing like this, going through all 32 NFL teams. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next video.